Welcome back to the Mid-Year Mitch YouTube channel. In today's episode, I'm fixing the fiberglass floor in my Overkill 67 Corvette, installing the firewall, fixing the tunnel, getting everything strong again, so that way we can get the body ready for the chassis, which will be coming in the next video. And I have a big update on the deadline for this car, so be sure to stick around. In the last video you saw, I finished repairing all the rust in the birdcage, filled in some of these holes here, ground down all the welds, painted everything, and now everything is ready to be covered back up with fiberglass. So I need to get the floor ready to go back in here, get the firewall ready, and then I need to figure out how much I need to fill this gap in here. I have sections of rock where I can splice in, and I have in my scrap pile, I don't know if you can see it, the blue car on the bottom. It's cut in the middle similar to this, and it has this little waterfall here that I need to patch this floor together. So I'm gonna probably have to steal that from that car. And then my floor section over here, I need to start scuffing everything up, removing the glue, so that way I can start fiberglassing. And you can see this car was also white with red interior. So I need to remove what's left of the gas pedal too. It's probably easier to do that now before it's in the car. It's also got a couple cracks in it. So I can pull that out, start fixing some of these cracks. Then we can start getting this floor fiberglass together. So I have the front section of the floor mocked up in the car, and I ground the fiberglass on both sections of the floor so I can start filling this in with fiberglass. And then to get the rest of the floor, I have this donor part from a convertible that I'm going to take my saw and just cut through right behind this line here. Take this whole waterfall portion, I'll cut some of the tunnel because I can use that the whole way across. So I have all the pieces of the floor trimmed up, cleaned all the paint, and scuffed everything up so that way I can start fiberglassing everything together. I had to take out my little power window switch bucket so I could get my mold the whole way back in here, but you can see now kind of what I'm going for. I had to do some tweaking to the floor because I forgot to actually raise the center up. It was sagging down, so I put a floor jack with a board under the middle here to raise it up, and then I used just some extra trailing arm shims I had laying around under here to keep this patch exactly where this floor is, so that way I can push on it when I fiberglass everything together. And I used some other wood shims, whatever I needed to get it to fit. I cut some more pieces to fit in here, so now I can just come in here and fiberglass all this in, and then I touched up my waterfall. I went and trimmed out a little bit over here because I have this piece. I was gonna glass this in right now, but I'm actually gonna wait till I get the engine, transmission in the chassis, get the body on the chassis to see if I need to raise this up, because it'll just be easier to do it once rather than glass it in and then have to recut it out. But I did learn that apparently every single floor pan I have is a 63. I have 4 on the side that have a tunnel, and every single one is a 63, which may not seem that important, but 64 to 7 is actually a little bit bigger of an opening, because this retainer, you can see the way this mold was made off of this exact floor, that it interferes. So what I'm gonna have to do is end up cutting a section out and pulling this area forward. I'll do that probably in a later video. And I even threw the dash I'm gonna use in here, which that gives you a little indication of what I'm doing with this car. I threw it in here just to mock it up, and I also set the firewall in here just to make sure everything is looking the way it should, and the firewall and the floor match up exactly where they were before. So that tells me we're doing something right here. I finished fiberglassing all the areas that I have prepped on the floor. I did this main area in 2 separate batches. It took like 16 ounces of fiberglass. It was still very workable. I had enough, and I always like to cut my fiberglass ahead of time, and I do it in layers. I really don't use scissors to cut it. I just rip it, because that way it gives you some extra strands to help tie in for strength rather than just a solid edge. Plus it blends a little nicer. So that's the way I like to do it. I also keep a plate over here of extra little pieces in case I have extra resin or in case I need some extra material somewhere while I'm going. So that way it just keeps me rolling. Then I went back and I did the rockers. Once these were locked in from the center area, I tapered these back really far so that way I could get this blended in nice, because these have to sand out. So, because you'll see this when you open the door jamb. So I'm pretty happy with the way that turned out. The floor should be nice and solid now, but now I need to work on the firewall portion. So I have it up on sawhorses here. So now I'm going to come through here and remove all this adhesive or the loose fiberglass. And apparently I've got a couple repairs to do. Yesterday I got the firewall and firewall plenums bonded on. Let these things dry overnight. Didn't even mess with the car. I just wanted this stuff to dry up nice and hard. And it looks good. I'm gonna take all the clamps off, do some sanding. I have some fiberglass repairs to do on these bonding strips. Need to remove some of the fiberglass and prep it for front end to go on this thing. And then I need to come through here, sand up a little bit of the excess glue and some of the areas where I wasn't as careful as I could have been when I removed the firewall, patch some of that stuff up and get this thing ready. I gotta clean up some of the dirt and get this thing ready for filler primer, and then hopefully I can get this thing ready for paint pretty soon as well. But overall it turned out real nice. The inside looks good. Have a few screw holes to fill. I know some people hate using screws, but I would rather use screws and make sure that these two panels are properly adhered than have it separate and then have your feet drag it on the ground, because this is a structural part of the car. So you want to make sure that's done right. So I got to pull all this stuff back off and then make it look pretty. But that's gonna do it for this video. If you enjoyed, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I have a lot of work to do. And in the next video, you're gonna see a very special package arriving. Can't show it to you right now. I can't show you the garage right now because there's a lot of progress that's been made since this video. So you're not gonna wanna miss that. And there's gonna be a lot of work coming up. So I got a lot of work to do, and I'll catch you guys later.